So we're here in London in this incredible crystal building. Wouldn't it be amazing if it inspired us to invent something that cut congestion, cut noise, cut pollution and ill health, something that improved the quality of life for everyone in cities, quickly, cheaply, and without the cost and disruption of building new roads and railways? Well, we invented this wonder machine almost 200 years ago. It's called the bicycle. As you can see, I'm not wearing lycra. I am a biking girl, but not a Hell's Angel, more of a cycling advocate. And there's another cyclist in London, Boris Johnson, and he doesn't wear lycra either, thank goodness. In March, he announced almost £1 billion to transform London as a city for cyclists. He wants to turn outer London boroughs like mine in Richmond into mini Hollands. This is a serious start to a biking revolution. What stops this happening is we need to change people's minds. I find that people make a whole raft of wrong assumptions about cyclists and cycling. Firstly, they have a simplistic view of cyclists, where competitive cyclists like Sir Bradley Wiggins, lycra recreational cyclists, and ordinary people like me who just want to get around sedately on bicycles are all lumped together. Secondly, they think that promoting biking has had its day, and that day was more than 60 years ago. It's true that in 1949, 24 billion kilometres were cycled in the UK. That was 33% of all vehicle miles travelled. But by 2009, this had fallen to just 5 billion kilometres, 1% of all vehicle miles travelled in the UK. But consider this, in 1949, 80% of men smoked, as did 40% of women. Back then, it was inconceivable that a time would come when the majority of people did not smoke. Why did the tide turn for smoking, against smoking? Firstly, the sheer weight of evidence that smoking was bad for your health. Secondly, the rising cost of smoking. And then when you reach that tipping point of when 80% of people did not smoke, smoking was banned in most public places. According to Transport for London, in the last 12 years, cycling trips in London have doubled to about 5 million trips every day. As with the decline in smoking, this was partly down to the rising cost of motoring, partly down to the growing realisation of the health and environmental benefits, but massively down to the congestion charge and a series of London-wide transport strikes that got people back discovering their bicycles. A major excuse that people give for not cycling is they think it's unsafe. It is true that six deaths from cycling in the space of a fortnight recently have fueled this misunderstanding. Now, it is true that in 2012, 122 people died while cycling. But statistically, the truly big killers are heart disease and obesity. And in fact, 85,000 people died from these diseases. That is 200 people dying every single day, literally from lack of exercise. So please, can we put the risk of death from cycling into perspective? Because otherwise the message it sends to would-be cyclists is don't do it, and that is clearly wrong. Because did you know that cycling just 20 miles a week cuts your risk of heart disease by half? And in any case, cycling is safer than walking. It really is. Cyclists suffer fewer deaths per kilometre than pedestrians. And the more you do, the safer it is. Danish people cycle far more than anyone else in Europe, and they suffer the fewest deaths per kilometre travelled. Did you know, and rather than worrying about your safety while you're cycling, why not take control and responsibility for your own safety and get some cycle safety lessons? It really makes a huge difference. And did you know that half the journeys in outer London are under 2 miles? Cycling just 2 miles only takes 10 minutes. Most secondary school kids have between 1 and 2 miles to get to school. Only 4% cycle. As cycling is safer and quicker than walking, why don't more of them go by bike? When I was a kid, cycling meant flexibility, freedom and fun, and it still does, but now it's an opportunity to keep fit. Cycling doesn't just benefit cyclists' health, everyone wins. Modern major cities are beset by 2 great miseries: congestion and air pollution. Congestion costs the UK economy £20 billion every year, and poor air quality from car exhaust does more than economic damage. It costs us all our health, and some people their lives. So, for a healthy, harmonious future cities, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just all need to get back on our bikes. Thank you.